Looking forward to this.
And so I guess there's a couple things we can talk about at least, and you can, if you got more, just let us know. But you're the author of a book that you brought called Chaos. How business
leaders can master the power of focus.
There you go.
Yeah, because originally when you started the show, you said business owners. The intent here is it's not just about business owners, executive directors of associations and charities and larger business, heads of departments can get great real value out of this book.
So how did you come to write the book? How did you come up with the expertise that it must take to write a book like that, where you're giving great advice to business leaders? Like, what's your story? How did you?
Well, I love that you built that up because it's not as hard as people think it is. I get in front of business owners on a regular basis, or just talk with people, and I say I'm writing a book. They say, "Oh, I always wanted to do that," and like organizing and running a business, if you simply plan it out, it's not as difficult as people think. I start actually in this book saying, I'm not a storyteller. I can't remember anything as soon as I leave a movie, right? I don't remember the title or who the stars are, what the line is. But what I do remember is business owner stories, and that's what's going to be powerful in this book, is all the real life stories from my interviews and the research that I've done on it.
So does this mean you have a selective memory that's just more akin somehow to remembering those kind of business stories?
My wife would definitely agree with that. Yeah. Remember anything she said, and I cover that off in the book too. I'm passionate about my wife. I'm not passionate about the things she asked me to do. I'm passionate about business owners, and so I remember their stories.
Okay, all right. So, and that's what this book is?
Yep.
Chaos.
Chaos, how business leaders can master the power of focus. So it's about getting your head in the game first. I was talking yesterday in two separate occasions, two business owners, micro small business, less than $1 million in revenue. And with one, we had completed the plan, and I could see one of the partners was absolutely panicked. And I said, "What's the matter?" She said, I can't sleep. I'm so intent on doing what you've now pulled out of us that we've said we have to do. Now we got to go do it. And I said, yeah, okay, I understand the tension, but don't lose sleep. We've set a roadmap. The roadmap is our best estimate at this point in time of how to take your business and increase it 3 times from wherever you're at to tripling the revenue. And doubling it in just this year. But if you don't get there exactly, that's okay. It's understanding that there is a path that will get you there, and take your time and do the best you can possibly do following this path, evaluating your business decisions, and you will be ahead of this year and closer to where you're trying to get to. But don't panic. One woman actually said I scare her.
Why?
Because we talked about it last night, and it's not because I scare her. It's what I pull out of her that scares back. It's her mirror looking back on her saying, now I got to do it.
So what is that process like? Are you in an interactive kind of interview with them? What are you pulling out of them? And then what do you do? You hold it up to them and say, now you got to do stuff.
Not bad. Yeah, close enough. I don't write it. I don't write business plans for business owners. That's pointless, because that's my interpretation of what their business should do. Who am I to say that a daycare, how do I know what they should do to fulfill their mandate to their community? They know that. I know how best to leverage all the other things that they don't know. So I sit back and listen, and then start drawing out all their ideas and capturing it back to them on a single-page document that becomes their roadmap to success.
So that it sounds like that single-page document then is kind of like the blueprint from which a whole entire business plan, a business strategy can be extrapolated.
No, in fact, that blueprint is the business plan.
One page.
Extremely specific, how much, by when, doing what, for whom, with action plans and targets for this year. And I get it onto one page.
One page.
You make it sound fun and easy.
Exactly. It has to be easy, because business owners have got too much to do.
Absolutely.
And business planning, any kind of planning, isn't natural. You may have retirement savings plans. You may have children where you have education plans. But the decisions to actually do the investments are invariably being deferred to other people, because that's a planning process that isn't natural to most of us. And business planning isn't natural, so I have to make it simple, hugely valuable, so that they'll continue doing it. Because the value is not in just doing a single business plan, it's in continuing the process of coming back to your plan on a regular basis, being a planned environment.
And making adjustments.
Absolutely.
So that business plan is not a static document, it's something that can adapt to the situation.
It's not written. The reality is, it's not written in stone.
Yeah. You talk about this one person that you kind of held that mirror up to them, and they weren't sleeping. I would think that in some cases, people might be really excited when they see that one-page business plan.
Well, and she's extremely excited.
Is that why she's not sleeping?
That's why she's not sleeping.
Oh, okay.
And she's a couple of things happened. One, I actually had I was working with a wealth specialist, one of my very first clients that I did business planning with. And after the business plan was done, he physically pushed back from the table and said, "James, now that this business plan is done, does that mean you're going to hold me accountable? Is the gut wrench that I'm feeling the fact that now you're going to hold me accountable for doing it?" And I said, "Brent, I mean, have you not gotten any of this? The reality is you've now set forth what you want to accomplish with your practice, and you've set forth how you propose to do it, and now it's your responsibility to go and do it yourself." And that's the gut wrench, is realizing I said it, and now I have an accountability to in fact fulfill it.
Like now, how did you come to be doing this? Like, I mean, you mentioned you love hearing these stories about businesses, but you know, is there a moment, a eureka moment, or a moment when you kind of it dawned on you that this is what you really love to do?
My father was in Toronto construction, and he passed away about 3 years ago, and I was sitting at the lights at Bloor and Jarvis, and I could see to the west along Bloor Street were the two towers of the Manulife Center. And right beside me was the golden glass of the Manulife head office. And rising out of the banking towers was the Scotia Tower. My father's company, along with my godfather, built the Manulife Center.
Wow.
My father broke his back falling down the elevator shaft under construction for the Manulife head office in the process of building that, and consulted to said Ritchie, the then chair of the Bank of Nova Scotia, on the building of his tower. And I said, and I have an 8-year-old daughter at home. I started my married life very late, and she keeps me young, like everybody says, and it's a riot. By the way, I have to leave soon to go get her for dance class. But I was thinking, God, I can bring my Jamie down here, and I could say, here's your grandfather's legacy to the Toronto skyline. There are two towers. There's another building, and here's the banking tower. And I said, I was sitting there going, what about me? What's my legacy to anybody? Being a consultant, I'm formerly CIBC district leader of small business. Again, what legacy is that? And so I decided at that lights that my legacy was going to be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of business owners made more successful through their interaction with my business or with me. And so that meant I had to get on stage. It meant I had to write a book. It meant I had to blog. It meant I had to have YouTube, and that has all been the process for the last 3 years of getting out with the social media and giving everybody everything for free. If you want to have a better business, you can get it through me for free. All the ideas are out there, easily accessible.
Like that's what you're doing with the people that you work with, is you help them find exactly what it is that they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I go beyond that. The business plan is a starting point, and that's why I give it, in effect, away for free. If somebody wants to work with me one-on-one, then there's an interaction cost, obviously. But when we build the business plan, as I say, that gut wrench is for a reason. And it's because they know invariably somewhere within the action plans that we've identified that are going to move the business forward, that they don't have the skill set to fulfill. And so then I offer up my consulting capability, and invariably through the process, there's all kinds of ideas we generate just to have them start thinking differently about customer service and employee satisfaction, and the products and services that they can potentially be pursuing. A very good friend of mine, when we met, he's my age, and when we met, he's a broker of corrugated product. He buys it used in the U.S. and brings it up to Canada, cuts it, and it's generally used to cover pallet. And I asked him, so what's the future? He said, well, I want to create a succession plan problem. So we just working on his vision statement, we turned him from a specialist in a corrugated product to becoming an integrated packaging solutions provider, giving him 3 years to begin the shift. Well, when you become an integrated packaging solutions provider, you go back to your clients and you've got a completely different approach with them, and opens the door to thinking strategically about how you begin to fulfill that different vision. And every strategic decision he's made since has made his business more complex, more viable, and richer for him, as simply a result of redefining his direction.
So what does the process look like? I mean, you talk about there's a free, I don't know what that means, free business plan, but what does the process
To do it
look
yourself.
like? Yeah, for somebody that's watching this right now, and they're trying to envision, it sounds like something maybe they should get involved with. Like what's the process?
Business planning is broken. The reason nobody does it is because it has been badly, badly broken. The whole idea of 10, 15, 20, 25, 50 pages. I actually wrote a blog on where I borrowed and gave full credit to an article written by another consultant in northwestern U.S., as I recall. And he actually recommended your business plan had to be 50 pages long. That's a non-starter. Nobody is going to sit down and write a business plan that has to be 50 pages long. And it's usually because it has to be written to a third party. Invariably, people believe the audience for their business plan is the banker.
Right.
And you want a loan. No, the audience is the business owner to get you focused on what you're going to do and where you want to get to. You adapt it for your banker's purposes. So in order to fulfill my personal legacy that I want to leave for my daughter, I had to make it easy. Do-it-yourself business planning is not great. Because when you do it yourself, you go to somebody's website and they give you a free do-it-yourself, it's like looking in the mirror. All you'll see is what you saw this morning, yourself, a little older, all right? Nobody will build a business plan that challenges their own status quo.
Your fundamental assumptions about what you think the business is supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you step outside your box without somebody helping you along? But to get people started, I built what I refer to as Focus Yourself. It's a 10-step business plan program. You register at my website. It's right there on the home page, www.focus31.com. On the home page, you register for Focus Yourself, the home study course, and I feed you automatically the 10 steps. But the great thing about my program, unlike all the other do-it-yourself programs that I've seen, is that I inject my recommendations, my thoughts into your business planning on 2 occasions, at the 5th point of at the 5th step and at the 8th step.
So they're getting some of that critical feedback.
At the end of the planning process, they can send me their business plan, and I'm going to give email back and forth or telephone back and forth, depending on where they're located, Skype, and I'll give them direct feedback on what they've accomplished and where they have room for improvement. So it's free. It's their ideas. They get a workbook to walk through. I've got a lot of feedback that the workbook is amazing, but they also get me, and I'm really good at what I do.
How did you get to be so good?
I don't know. Well, you know.
It's got to be in you as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm passionate about what I do. And I'm a good listener. Apparently I scare people, as I've said, but I'm a good listener, and people will invariably say something that you can then grab on and put it, you know, again, as you said, show them the mirror, and you say, you said this. Now, what do you want to do about that? I did, and this is what I want to do, so let's go do it. Great. Fantastic. Let's go get it done.
But I mean, where does this book stand in that process that you just described? Is this something people should read if they're going to think about doing what you're suggesting here?
Again, it's another way to get the business planning process started, but it goes to the very beginning of getting the mindset adjusted and examining yourself personally and why you're doing what you're doing and what's important to you, to right through to time management, accountability, and for larger business owners, letting go of the accountability and delegating to others to take responsibility for their roles within the business. The business planning, measurement, and then it's a ton of stories that people can learn from in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly, as Clint Eastwood had a movie called.
So it's for business leaders, and that can be anybody working in a large company or an entrepreneur trying to do their own project. It sounds like the kind of...
The charities and associations, they're all popping up going, tell me more.
Yeah, it's the same process. You're trying to make that venture, whatever it is, profit or non-profit, you want it to be sustainable in the environment.
And an environment, especially for charities and associations, where cash resources are in short supply. What they tend to do is do these 5-year strategic plans and pay consultants an exorbitant amount of money. Pull that money back. Let's get something that makes sense, because that becomes just a document that they use as a publication rather than an actual guiding principles for the business or the association or the charity.